Hello, brothers, sisters, and friends, and welcome to the Fight Like Hell podcast. This is the official podcast of the National Association of Letter Carriers, the union that represents over 290,000 active and retired letter carriers employed by the United States Postal Service. I'm your host, Ed Morgan, and with me, as always, is our national president, Brian Renfro. Hey, Brian, how are you today?
Hey, Eddie, doing great. Glad to be back on.
I see your Braves hats on, and through gritted teeth, I'm going to congratulate all the Los Angeles Dodgers fans we have out there. Congratulations on winning your World Series back to back. Good job.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll talk about it in just a minute, but this past weekend, I was with a lot of branch presidents at the Committee of Presidents meeting during that, the day of and then the day after that crazy Game 7. So, having a group of NALC leaders from all over the country, many of which, particularly those on the West Coast that were Dodgers fans, we had a lot of interesting spirited conversation, let's call it, about that. But congrats to the Dodgers. As you tell by my hat, I'm a Braves fan, but I still got a lot of love for Freddie Freeman. But it ended up, for what I thought was a World Series that overall was a little under the radar for most of it. Definitely Game 7 was must-see TV. A lot of drama in the end.
Yeah, it was a great series. That 18-inning game won't even be remembered due to how good the Game 7 was.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So talking about what you did last weekend, you were at the Committee of Presidents down in Orlando. Do you just want to talk about what the Committee of Presidents are and what did they do?
Yeah, so the Committee of Presidents, it's been around a long time. It's kind of commonly called the COP. So a lot of our listeners may have heard that term, and it was started years and decades ago, really, by a group of branch and state presidents. And twice a year, they spend a couple of days together, one in the spring, one in the fall. They elect 5 co-chairs that represent different regions of the country that are kind of responsible for putting it on, and presidents submit agenda items. So we get together. Usually it's one full day and one half day, and they talk about agenda items. And then, thankfully, I've been able to go to these things for 10 plus years. President Orlando used to take me, but it's a good opportunity for them to hear from one another. It's a really good opportunity for me to share, of course, whatever information that happens to be timely and important with the branch and state presidents that are there. And then it's also for me and whatever officers or staff may attend with me. I mean, we change that just depending on what's going on from meeting to meeting. It's a great opportunity from us to hear from our branch presidents and have some conversation and that stuff back and forth. And this past weekend, it was down in Orlando, Florida on all day Saturday and half a day Sunday. And we really got the chance to dig deep into a lot of the most important issues that are facing letter carriers and facing our union, a lot of which we've talked about here on this podcast over the last several weeks, and was time well spent. We, as a union, our members have elected excellent leaders at all levels that are really engaged and care about our members, and that's reflected in what we have the opportunity to do a couple times a year at the Committee of Presidents meeting.
And then down in Orlando, we had the Health Benefits Seminar along with the Mutual Benefits Association Seminar. Can you talk about the seminars and our HBP reps and our MBA reps?
Sure. Every couple of years, our NALC Health Benefit Plan has just almost usually immediately in advance of open season, we have a seminar where all our health benefit representatives, which are officers of branches, if you read our Constitution, they're officers just like the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, so on and so forth. Their responsibility is a number of different things, but just primarily to serve as a resource to our members for the health benefit plan. And we get them all together and just do all kinds of education with them, from our staff out at the health plan to a lot of the different vendors that we use that our listeners would be familiar with. People like Cigna, our provider network, CVS, who provides our prescription drug program. And they get to spend several days and learn all about the plan. And we are so fortunate to have an awesome group of health benefit representatives or HBRs. And several years ago, we combined this with doing a very similar thing for the Mutual Benefit Association, the life insurance company that we own. And branches also have mutual benefit representatives. So we got HBRs and MBRs. And as a part of the seminar that's taking place down there, Jimmy H., our director of life insurance, and some of our staff over at the Mutual Benefit Association also teach classes and engage with the people that are there. So the last couple of times we have our health benefit seminar, we've tried to kind of do it in conjunction with the Fall Committee of Presidents meeting. That's what we did in Orlando. It was right there in Orlando, not at the same hotel, but one really close by, just kind of down the street, just because it saves on travel cost and things like that. Because a lot of the people that go to the Committee of Presidents meeting also attend the seminar for the health benefit plan. So we began there on Sunday afternoon with, I guess you'd call it a health fair, where there was a lot of opportunity for those in attendance to kind of walk around and interact with folks at the plan and our vendors and get things like flu shots and all sorts of information. We had a nice opening reception on Sunday night, and then starting Monday morning with a general session. We were able to get that kicked off, and Stephanie Stewart, of course, who you heard on the last episode of our podcast. Stephanie did a great job of setting the stage and talking about all things health benefit plan, sort of big picture things. And then over the course of the next several days, Monday afternoon, Tuesday, Wednesday, the staff put on a lot of different classes on a lot of different topics. So it was a tremendous, tremendous success. And a huge thank you goes out to all the health benefit representatives and branch presidents that attended that event and got that information to take back to their members.
Good information there. It is open season coming up here November 10th through December 8th. You should have got this in the mail from the Postal Service. Make sure you're reading all this stuff. Check out your benefits. Make the best decision for you. Again, the NALC Health Benefit Plan is a great idea for letter carriers. Make sure you take that under consideration and make the best investment in yourself. Don't procrastinate. Don't wait till the December 8th to start looking at stuff.
No. Do it November 10th. And Eddie, just a quick plug, the health benefit plan on the last episode, we talked about how there's so many wonderful things about it, that it's letter carrier owned and operated, and it's not for profit, and it's intended for our members. But if you just step back totally objectively and take all that off the table, it is the best plan. It gives you the best coverage, the best value for the premiums that you pay. So, strongly encourage every postal employee and retiree to take a look at it and make the switch. Never had anybody tell me they regretted changing to our plan.
Right. And if you didn't listen to last week's episode, make sure you do that. Check it out. Ask your health benefit rep, your local health benefit rep, to answer any questions you have. Check out the brand new website that we have for the health benefit plan, or call the plan and ask them any kind of specific questions you have.
Yeah, just a reminder, as we talked about last week, beginning Monday, November 10th, the customer service hours at the health benefit plan are going to be extended on a permanent basis, several hours actually, until 6 p.m. Eastern. So there's a larger window of time there that you can reach out to them with any questions that you have.
I also saw in the building again this week, we had executive council. Just want to talk about what executive council was doing this week.
Yeah, we had the council here for a couple of days and had a pretty much an all-day session as an entire council on Wednesday, and we spent the majority of that time talking about the economic pieces of collective bargaining, what our priorities are, and just really digging into developing the types of things that, there are things out there, as we've talked about on this podcast, that everybody agrees that are our goals. But this is really more about digging into how do we prioritize them and strategy. And then on Thursday, the council members spent time in their subcommittees, which are each, as we've talked about, dedicated to specific topics in the agreement. So our preparation continued. That was the primary reason that they were here. We've, as a council, been meeting very frequently since really the week after Labor Day. We've met on average every 2 or 3 weeks, and we're going to continue to do that as we're deep in this collective bargaining prep. But it was a productive couple of days to have our council members there, and we look forward to continuing that prep. And of course, we'll keep providing information and updates as it progresses.
We do have the national wrap coming up in a couple weeks. What can our branch presidents come when they come? What can they expect? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different?
Yeah, it's going to be a little different than what it's been in years past. Normally, for a national rap session, at least all the ones I've been to, going back the last couple of decades, we on Friday evening would have a reception. We are still going to do that just for everybody to get to see one another and that kind of thing. But on Saturday, in years past, we've put on training and workshops on different topics. What we're going to do at this national rap session, because of where we are in collective bargaining preparation, is spend time all day and give each of our executive council subcommittees, which are made up of NBAs and national resident officers and trustees, time for them to talk to those that are in attendance about what their subcommittee's been working on. What are the topics that they have prioritized, the concepts that they are working to turn into proposals that we would actually submit them across the table when we open bargaining in February next year. On top of that, there will be an opportunity for them to have some back and forth, get input. Almost you could view it as sort of a roundtable discussion with those that are in attendance. It's structured so that on Saturday we have 6 subcommittees, and it's structured so each of those 6 subcommittees will have an opportunity to present, and everyone that attends will have an opportunity to hear from and give feedback to each of those 6 subcommittees of the executive council that are tasked with this bargaining preparation. And then on Sunday morning, we'll have the actual national rap session or national conference that is required by the Constitution, where I will give those that are in attendance updates on a lot of different stuff, depending on what's going on. Unfortunately, as we've seen in 2025, a lot can change in a couple of weeks, but we'll, of course, talk about the landscape for the Postal Service, our collective bargaining preparation, drill down on some of the things that are talked about there in those Saturday workshops, but then, of course, getting into the most important pieces of bargaining, and that's the economic stuff, pay, benefits, et cetera. So we just decided, really on that Saturday to utilize the time with our branch and state presidents to just dive a little deeper with each of the council members that have been working on these topics, and to give them the opportunity to provide their input. It's just another piece of the puzzle of collective bargaining preparation. So we're really excited about the opportunity that we have to do that.
Great. So now they have a few weeks to get their thoughts together, write them down, and be ready to have that discussion.
Absolutely. Yep.
Great. So last night you had a video conference with the branch presidents about a food drive that we're putting together. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So I'm sure everyone listening to this is aware that the NALC now for 3 decades has conducted a food drive on the second Saturday in May. The Postal Service partners with us. We pick up food from our customers and deliver them to a local food bank. And unfortunately, every single year, we still have food insecurity out there. We have hunger out there. I think right now, based on a lot of the things that have happened, primarily with the government, the shutdown and the uncertainty that's created as far as programs that benefit those that are in need, there is an increased need for food. The food banks that are out there are in a place where their demand is risen. And we as a union, I think, are uniquely situated to fill that gap so to speak. So when we consider this government shutdown that's going on, there's a lot of conversation about SNAP benefits. There's a lot of conversation, as there should be, about the impact on other federal employees that are either furloughed or they're having to work and they're not getting paid. So this increased demand, I think, for us creates an opportunity. We are uniquely positioned to make an impact here because of what we do in May, primarily because of the relationships that we have at the local level, that our branches have with the food banks, with the people that we collect and donate food to in May. So what we are going to do here over the course of the next several weeks, probably going into early 2026, is just mobilize our union to do this in a little different way than we do in May, where we are going to do two things primarily. Number one, conduct a monetary food drive where our branches and state associations that make contributions to food banks locally, NALC headquarters will match that contribution. So if you are branch such and such in this city and you donate to your local food bank, let's just throw a number out for the sake of example, $500. NALC headquarters will also donate $500 to that food bank. So we will match any donation that's made around the country. We also have what I spoke with the branch presidents about last night is to encourage them to get creative and find ways with their membership to get people together and somehow collect donations, whatever creative ideas they come up with in addition to money to benefit those food banks. This is not something we're going to do on our route like we do in May. That is something we'll do this upcoming May. It's not something that the Postal Service at the headquarters level for this particular effort is a part of, as they are obviously for what we do in May when they allow us to pick up that food. But these two things of trying to be as impactful as we can be in terms of monetary donations, but then also at the local level that our branches can engage, our members can engage, other unions can engage, other groups in the community to get together and see what we can do to make an impact. All of this effort is going to be branded as and called Shut Down Hunger. So in May, our food drive is called Stamp Out Hunger. The term shut down hunger is a little bit of a play on the government shutdown that's responsible for a lot of the increase in the need that's out there. So there's going to be more information to come about this. As you said, Eddie, I had a meeting with all the branch presidents around the country and explained the concept to them. Everybody's very excited and is making plans, and there'll be more information available about that on the website. And I'm sure we'll talk about it more in depth here on the podcast as we go forward. But in a nutshell, it's just an opportunity for letter carriers to do what we do, and that's serve our communities. And yeah, delivering mail and packages is a big piece of that. But, as we all know, whether it's our food drive or heroic acts we see every day, we take a lot of pride in taking advantage of any chance we have to help the people that we live around and that we are privileged to serve every day.
Sounds great. Before we get into our topic, we have one little piece of news here at headquarters. Congratulations to Oscar Ferreira. He's a letter carrier staffer, and he just had a baby boy. Congratulations, Carmelo, the newest member of the NALC family. Him, his wife, and his baby are doing great, and just want to congratulate them. As you work on the workroom floor and in your station, you become a family. You like some people, you don't like other people, but you live with them and you're always there for them. And you jump them up when they're having positive news, and you're with them and have their back when you have negative news. So here in headquarters, we had a really good week this week with the baby Carmelo. Congratulations, Oscar.
Yeah, congratulations, Oscar. He's so excited. He's been excited for months. He's been just glowing about it, in the weeks and months leading up to this. So we're so happy that everyone is healthy and, is A lot of you know that's one of the more exciting things that can happen in life, and it's great to see someone no different than letter carriers that work with one another every day, as Eddie said. For the people here that we get to work with every day, it's just a joy to see the joy that brings them, and thinking about the joy it's going to bring them for a long time. So, congratulations, Oscar. We're excited for you.
So this is our Veterans Day episode, and just want to wish all the veterans and our members that are veterans a happy Veterans Day. And I want to forget the Marine Corps birthdays the day prior. So happy birthday to all those Marines out there, all those devil dogs. And we're going to have a unique Veterans That Day episode here today. I was looking back a few weeks and we were kind of figuring out what we were going to do with this episode. And we just didn't want to give you the hollow happy Veterans Day and then move on about a different topic. And I was out at Leadership Academy. So we had 11 veterans out at Leadership Academy. So I kind of brainstormed with them and I asked them, what would you want to know as a new carrier? And you were a veteran. What rights and benefits did you want to know about? And they gave me some great ideas. And we took 7 of them and asked them to do a little report. So we're going to have them come on and just talk about being a veteran, what branch they're from and what service they're from. And they're going to give you a little report about some veterans' benefits and rights as letter carriers. I think we're going to have a really good episode. I'm very excited about it. And these guys did a really great job. They did the research. They came on here broadcasting, seeing, a couple thousand people are going to watch this. And I think they're going to do a great job and just want to thank them. They're terrific.
Yeah, it's an awesome group of people. I know everyone's going to really enjoy hearing from them. And Eddie, credit to you. As you said, we wanted to make this something that, of course, celebrates and appreciates our veterans for certainly their service to our country, but also, their service to our union. Veterans have made a just unmistakable impact on our union and over the years, the Postal Service. That whole idea of continuing, a career and just swapping uniforms and continuing a career in service is really true. About a quarter of letter carriers are veterans, and there are so many things out there that are specific and only apply to veterans, but are very important for us to know. And remember, some of those things are, of course, important for shop stewards and grievance representatives to be aware of, but they're also important. If you're listening to this and you're a letter carrier, you're a veteran, it's important for you to know because some of these things may come up in your career. Some of them may not. So we wanted to balance the certainly celebration and appreciation for our veterans, which runs very deep in our union, with letting you hear from several people while passing on information that we hope will be useful for you to process. And I'm sure whoever's listening to this, you're going to learn something as you hear from this great group of people. So happy Veterans Day to everybody that's out there. Our veterans are invaluable to our country, of course, but speaking a little more specifically about our union, I think our veterans over the years and today are invaluable to our union. So much of the values and the things that veterans, because of their military service, bring to the table and whatever walk of life they go into after their service. I don't know if there's anywhere where that's more strongly reflected than it is in our union. And we appreciate you all so very much for your service to our country, but your service as well to our union.
Yep. I just want to thank Nora Stamper from Seattle, Washington, branch 79, Troy Saunders from Baltimore, Oriole branch. I'm learning how to say Oriole correctly, branch 176. Artegus Felder from Montgomery, Alabama, branch 106. He's an Army vet. Christopher Cotto-Sanchez from San Juan, Puerto Rico, branch 869, and he's an Army veteran. We also have Carman Montgomery from Leadership Academy, class 26. She's actually an active military person, and she's in the Air Force. She's from branch 469 in Mobile, Alabama. We have Charles Bundy from Chicago, Illinois. He's an old Navy man. And then we have Shane Davis from Jonesboro, Arkansas, branch 1131, and he's a Navy guy. And they did a great job, and we're going to hear them now. First, we're going to start with Nora Stamper from branch 79 in Seattle, Washington. And she's going to talk about the veterans preference. in the discipline process and the Merit Services Protection Board. Take it away.
Hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and good night to my NALC brothers, sisters, siblings, and our veterans out there. My name is Nora Stamper. I'm from Branch 79 in Seattle, Washington, and I am a veteran. I served in the Marine Corps from 2002 to 2006, deployed twice to the Middle East in 2003 and 2004. And I just want to wish my fellow Devil Dogs a happy birthday and a happy Veterans Day to everybody else. I appreciate Ed asking me to hop on the pod, and I am going to talk about specifically veterans, preference eligible veterans, and their MSPB rights. So many of our veterans have special rights related to their job security that are afforded to them under the Veterans Preference Act. And those veterans, you may have heard it in your workplace, they're called preference eligible. All of our veterans are special. We love you all. But not every veteran is a preference eligible veteran. So how do you know? Well, it's covered under Title V, Chapter 21, Section 2108 of the U.S. Code. So preference eligible veterans are enshrined under federal law, but they're also found in our EL 312 handbook in Section 48. To put it simply, do you want to know if you're a preference eligible veteran? There are a couple ways that you could do so. You are either a disabled veteran, you served during a specific war and or conflict, and those are outlined in both the EL 312 and Title V. Or you may be related to as a spouse or a parent to a veteran. Now, in order to exercise your preference eligibility rights, you only have to have 1 year of current continuous service with the United States Postal Service. Now, I know that some of our fellow brothers and sisters have already talked about various rights afforded to veterans. And the one thing that sucks, but it happens to all of us from time to time, is we get disciplined. Hopefully you don't end up fired, but in the event that you do, and you are a preference eligible veteran, you have a separate right to appeal that action under the Merit Systems Protection Board. That's the MSPB. That is also covered in Article 16.9 of our JCAM for those of you grievance handlers that want to get a little more in depth on the subject. Why is that important to us as grievance handlers or to you as a preference eligible veteran that may or may not be facing removal someday? You can file a separate appeal of that adverse action, specifically removals and or suspensions of more than 14 days under the Merit Systems Protection Board. For regular employees, if you get removed, you get your notice of removal, and that's that. But for a preference eligible veteran, you're entitled to 30 days advance notice before that action can be initiated. So what your preference eligible veterans will see is something called a notice of proposed removal. For our grievance handlers, this is what we grieve. Much like in regular disciplinary action, management has to advise you of your right to appeal under Article 15, but in a notice of proposed removal for a preference eligible veteran, they also have to advise you of your rights under the MSPB. During that, I don't want to call it a notice period necessarily, but when you get that notice of proposed removal as a preference eligible veteran, you have a couple rights. You as the employee have a right to everything that management relied upon when proposing that action. And you also have a right to a written or oral appeal with what we would call the deciding official. That should be identified, who they are should be identified to you in that notice of proposed removal. So that notification of the right to appeal, that must be included in that notice of proposed removal, just like the Article 15 right to file a grievance would be in a regular corrective action. So for those of us grievance handlers, we do not have a legal or a contractual obligation to represent an employee during an MSPB appeal. It's recommended that you obtain legal counsel if you are faced with that situation, just because MSPB appeals are outside of the grievance arbitration process that we are contractually obligated to. So after that meeting, the employee has the right to, appeal that proposed removal to management. They then have to issue a second letter, which is called the decision letter. And that's where the deciding official comes back and says, oh, after the appeal, right after I considered everything, this is what I then decided to do. For the grievance handlers, we grieve the notice of proposed removal. That notice of proposed removal, if it makes it to formal step A before the decision letter is issued, it is held there until the decision letter comes out. So we file a grievance on the notice of proposed removal. When the decision letter comes back, then that just gets added to the file at formal step A and the grievance moves up. That language is found on page 15.6 of the JCAM. There's no need for grievance handlers to file a separate grievance on the decision letter. You can, but if you filed on the notice of proposed removal, good. So after that grievance moves up and is impassed from step B, this is really where the rights of that preference eligible veteran kind of kick in. Because for the rest of us, our grievance leaves step B and it goes to arbitration. Your preference eligible veteran has another option, and that is the right to an MSPB hearing. What they don't get is both. So when it is time to schedule that grievance for arbitration, we have to have a decision from that grievance as far as which venue they're going to choose. For our grievance handlers on the 8190, there's that cool little box that says MSPB, yes or no. When you check yes or no, that lets us know as the advocates, your grievance handlers at the regional level, know that, okay, hey, we need to be aware that this employee may have an appeal in another step of the process that we need to look into. Because the Postal Service, they do not have to defend themselves twice. So if your grievant chooses to appeal that adverse action to the Merit Systems Protection Board and they get a decision, it is what it is. They cannot just say, okay, well, I don't like what that said, so now I want to go to arbitration. You have to pick one or the other. But if they have an appeal to the MSPB and that appeal is pulled, then it can be scheduled for arbitration as long as the MSPB has not rendered a decision on the merits. There are a couple reasons that employees may not want to have their adverse action ruled on by the Merit Systems Protection Board. And the reason is we have great language in our collective bargaining agreement about what management and what an arbitrator, what can and cannot be considered. For example, if you were disciplined 3 years ago, that discipline is gone. If your discipline has been rescinded by a grievance settlement, that discipline is gone. We have that through our collective bargaining agreement. The Merit Systems Protection Board, that does not exist. So I just use myself for an example. Right now, I have a perfectly clean, spotless record. But maybe 10 years ago, I may have gotten some discipline for saying some things that, that maybe I wouldn't repeat today. The Merit Systems Protection Board can go back and consider an employee's total record. So if you've worked for the post office for 20 years, at an arbitration hearing, that they can consider what is live discipline, right? The Merit Systems Protection Board can consider everything. So if you have discipline from 15 years ago, they can go back and look at all of that and consider that when making a decision. And that is not great for all of our employees. Maybe some of you, right, might have a clean, spotless record, but we do not have that protection during an MSPB hearing. Simply put, that sums up that portion of it for me to recap. According to the Veterans Preference Act, for those of us that are preference eligible veterans, for those of you that are preference eligible veterans, the employer cannot initiate an adverse action without first giving you 30 days notice of its intent to do so. You would receive a notice of proposed action. You have a right to appeal that notice. You have a right to everything that management considered, everything they relied on in issuing that notice of proposed removal. You have a right to file an oral or written appeal to the deciding official to basically state your case. We don't have a legal or a contractual obligation, those of us as grievance handlers, to represent a preference eligible veteran. The NALC recommends that they get legal counsel just because it is a venue that is outside of our collective bargaining agreement. I touched on the fact that an employee is entitled to 30 days of written notice. That includes emergency suspensions, right? So for your regular employee, management can place you off the clock in a non-pay status. If you are a preference eligible veteran, management cannot leave you off the clock for more than 14 days in a non-pay status. They have to return you to work or return you to a pay status by that 15th day, or you as a preference eligible veteran can file an appeal to that action through the Merit Systems Protection Board. So grievance handlers should grieve the notice of proposed removal because under Article 15 of our JCAM, the notice of proposed removal is then held at formal step A until the decision letter is issued after the employee files that written or oral appeal with the deciding official. I noticed yesterday, unfortunately, that the MSPB is not currently functioning due to the government shutdown. I went to their website. If that is, for our veterans, if you were interested in filing an appeal, you would go to the MSPB website. They have a link there with a lot of information, including a spot to file an appeal. Unfortunately, right now, when you click that button, it tells you that the board is not functioning because of the government shutdown. You should still make sure that you make a note of that, right, on the 8190 of your intent to file an appeal, and our grievance handlers should make sure that that's addressed. This isn't a subject that we see all the time, thankfully, but there is a lot of information out there. The NALC Veterans Guide, I think pages 29 to 31, has a whole section about veterans, the discipline process, and the Merit Systems Protection Board. You can go to the MSPB website. Again, the information about who is or is not a preference eligible veteran is in the EL 312, but it is also in U.S. Code Title 5, Chapter 21, Section 2108, if you're curious. Management should know, but like they never get anything wrong. So if you are a veteran and you do unfortunately find yourself in a situation where you're issued that notice of removal, you need to go check and make sure that you are or are not preference eligible, because if you are preference eligible and you do not get a notice of proposed removal, that's a big problem. For those of you that are watching this, whatever I did forget, put it in the comments. I know we have a lot of really, really smart people that follow us. Yeah, my mentors are out there on the NALC website. If I missed something, or if you can clarify something, or there's something else that you're like, ooh, this is really helpful, put it in the comments so people know. And you're doing a great benefit to your brothers and sisters and union siblings out there, and also to me. I appreciate that. So I will close it with Happy Veterans Day. Be good to each other.
And now we'll have Troy Saunders from branch 176 in Baltimore, Maryland. He's going to talk about buying back your military time, the Defense Finance and Accounting Service website, and the buyback estimator and annual leave accrual.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emmett Troy Saunders. I am from Baltimore, Maryland, branch 176, OREO. I'm here today to talk about buying back military time. I am a former Marine. I've served in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years, and I have been a letter carrier now for approximately 30 years. But I think the importance of buying back military time should touch the lives of every veteran. If you're able to buy back your military time, I think it would benefit you to buy back your military time. Unlike a lot of veterans out there who have already bought back time, did it later in my career. That doesn't mean that it wasn't important. That doesn't mean that it does not help out my retirement or the time toward my retirement. I think that it would benefit every veteran to buy back their time, no matter how long in their career that they actually were or they actually are. Um, One of the things that I wanted to talk about is that over 25% of NALC members are veterans of the United States Armed Forces and the Postal Service. And the Postal Service is one of the largest employers of veterans. And I think that for every letter carrier that has served in the branch of a military service, that buying back their time can be beneficial towards retirement, as I said before. One of the things I wanted to talk about was for some, and it may be different for you as an individual, you might want to look into seeing if it benefits you to buy back that military time. For me, it was beneficial, at least in my opinion. So each and every letter carrier who is a veteran needs to make that determination for themselves, whether or not buying back their time can benefit them in the long run, or whether or not it does not benefit. For those who are reservists, it may not benefit you. There's something that you're going to have to look in on your own to determine that, to make that determination, I should say. For me, I served for 4 years, and it was beneficial for me to buy back my time. For those of you who may have longer time in the military, once again, you have to make that determination in and of yourself. For first employees, which most of us who are probably listening to are now, the cost of buying back military time is 3% of the basic pay earned during the period of service for most individuals. Military service plus interest. The financial benefits of buying back your military time is either 1% or 1.1% of your high 3 average annual salary times years of service. For myself, as I said, I've only did 4 years of service, so that is what I would use for my calculations. Bought back military time also counts towards your eligibility to retire from the Postal Service. And for a lot of us who are counting down the years, that benefits us even 1 or 2 years. So please take the time to look into that. If it benefits you, if you think it could benefit you, get involved in the process. Look into the process. See if the benefits of those years far outweighs the amount of money that it would cost for you to buy that back. And the earlier that you're doing it is probably the best for everyone. Most veterans will find that financial benefits of making deposits far outweighs the cost. The 3% cost is calculated only on the pay earned during your military service, but the 1 or 1.1% benefit is applied to all of your credible years of service. For most veterans, the pay you receive while in the military will have been considerably less than the end of career pay as a letter carrier. The 3% cost is a one-time payment, while the 1 or 1.1% benefit will be an ongoing for your lifetime and the lifetime of your spouse if you elect for your survivor benefits at retirement. Here are some things to consider. Full payment of the acquired deposit must be made prior to separation from the Postal Service. The deposit must be paid directly to the Postal Service. There is an interest-free grace period of 2 years. No interest will be charged if the deposit is completed prior to 3 years from the date the employee first became covered under FERS. Interest is charged at a rate determined by the Secretary of the Treasury for each calendar year. The 2025 rate of interest is 4.375%. That number may change in 2026. To begin the process of making deposits for military time, call the USPS Shared Service Center at 877-477-3273 and select option 5. The Postal Service will then contact the appropriate military branch, obtain documentation of your military pay records, calculate the 3% deposit, and advise you of the dollar amount required. If buying back your military time is the right decision for you, you can pay it in a lump sum or in installments by deductions from your pay over time. The NALC Veterans Guide is a great resource for information on military buyback. There is a link in the description of this podcast. The Defense Finance and Accounting Service website and Buyback Estimator. The Defense Finance and Accounting Service website is a great resource for helping you decide if buying back your military time is the right decision for you. The website is dfas.mil. The DFAS website includes a military service earning and buyback estimator. It provides a quick, unofficial estimate of your military earnings and the estimated cost of buying back your military service time. An official estimate can take up to 60 calendar days. Check it out, dfas.mil for more information. Annual leave accrual. Qualifying prior credible military service can affect the rate of accrual of annual leave for part-time and full-time employees. Section 512 of the Employee and Labor Relations Manual, or ELM, lays out the chart for adding your credible military service with your time as a postal employee. Check out the NALC Veterans Guide, page 14 and 15, to see how it applies to you as a veteran and postal employee. We're coming up on our yearly day that we honor those individuals who have served in the military. I want to wish every veteran a happy Veterans Day, and for every Marine out there, we're coming up on the Marine Corps birthday. I want to say happy birthday to every devil dog out there.
Thanks, Troy. Now we have Artegus Felder. He's going to talk about the Hoover Executive Order 5396, MOU 00165, and the Wounded Warriors League.
Hello. Happy Veterans Day. I'm Artegus Felder, Capital City Branch 106, Montgomery, Alabama, Roll Tide. I'm also an Army veteran. I served in the 160th Special Operation Aviation Regiment Airborne. I was a 15 Fox, which is an aircraft avionics specialist. I served in Afghanistan, multiple tours in Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. I started my military career in basic training at Fort Jackson, went to AIT training in Virginia, went to Fort Bragg, went to airborne school after that, served in Korea, and then Fort Campbell, where I went to Green Platoon and joined the 160th Aviation Regiment Airborne. I served in the United States Army for 8 years. After I got out of the Army, I started working at the post office. From the post office, I immediately joined the union, where I received the brotherhood that reminded me of the brotherhood that I loved in the Army and missed so much. I started at the post office in 2006, where I joined the union and has been active ever since. Lawmakers are constantly debating issues on Capitol Hill about veterans and letter carriers. When veterans reach out to their legislators, it hits a special place in their hearts. So as veterans and as letter carriers, we have a unique opportunity to touch lawmakers on Capitol Hill when legislation is coming down the pipeline. Our voice is strong, and we need to use that for our benefit. The NALC also monitors legislation that affects veterans, veteran groups, and things of that nature. Now we'll talk about medical appointments for disabled veterans. While the post office normally has discretion to approve or disapprove leave requests, disabled veterans who directly report their DD-214 and turn it in are automatically authorized leave for medical treatment. You have leave to attend your VA appointments. Additionally, the post office cannot use this absence against you. Employers cannot use the absence for disciplinary purposes, and these rights were granted by President Herbert Hoover in 1930, executive order. It actually states special leave and absence to be given to disabled veterans in need of medical treatment. With the respect of treatment, disabled veterans who are employed in executive, civil service, and United States is hereby ordered that upon the presentation of official statement from duty, constituted medical authority, that medical treatment is required, such as annual or sick leave, may be prevented by law, and such leave without pay may be necessarily and shall be granted by the proper supervisory officer to that disabled veteran in order that the veterans may receive that treatment while personally effectively their rating. And that was in July 17, 1930, the executive order that was presented by President Herbert Hoover. In 1988, the Postal Service and the NALC agreed that President Hoover's 1930 executive order applied to disabled veterans who are letter carriers. So all parties agreed that the executive order 5396 that was dated July 1930 does apply to the Postal Service. And those absences cannot be used for discipline. Basically, as a disabled veteran and as a letter carrier, you are required to go to your VA appointments. You must receive all your medical treatment, and it cannot be denied when you show proof. In 2015, the Wounded Warrior Federal Leave Act was passed. That was a great thing. That granted up to 104 hours to disabled veterans to undergo medical treatment at the VA. So separately from your leave that you receive, your annual leave and sick leave that you receive, disabled veterans receive 104 hours to complete your medical treatment. So if you have a VA appointment, you should go get your necessary treatment that you have earned. Frequently, it's unavoidable that you're going to have a veterans appointment at the VA. You do not want to miss your VA appointments. Your brothers and sisters at your station understand that, hey, you are a veteran, you earn the rights to your medical treatment, so you must take care of yourself so you can take care of your brothers and sisters in the NLC just as well as you took care of your brothers and sisters in arms. So there is no shame in going to your VA appointments. Take care of yourself, brothers and sisters. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. So there is no shame in going to your VA appointments. Do not miss your VA appointments. Again, 104 hours are there for you. Wounded Warrior leave should provide relief to those who maybe not necessarily can receive their leave in other branches. So that is something that the Postal Service and NLC, again, the rights that we have fought for and earned, you as a veteran have earned. So again, use your Wounded Warrior leave for your VA appointments. Veterans that have at least a 30% disabled rating will be granted 104 hours of Wounded Warrior leave. Once you turn your DD-214 and you go on va.gov to get your statement to show that you have at least 30% rating, you would turn that in and you will be granted your 104 hours of Wounded Warrior leave. All leave that is not used does not carry over. You can find more information about things like this when you apply for Wounded Warrior leave, and you refer to the NALC Veterans Guide, which can be linked in the description below. And also, a fun fact, if you have the digital copy or the regular hardback copy, you can find yours truly right in the middle, right there on the front. So even if you have the Disabled Veterans Guide online copy, once you scroll to the top and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the sixth person in the middle is 23-year-old yours truly, Artegus Felder, actually in, I think that was the picture from Bagram in Kandahar. So I was honored when I submitted that, and I was like, hey, that's me.
And now we're going to have Carman Montgomery from Branch 469 in Mobile, Alabama. She's going to talk about military leave and the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act, or USERRA.
Hello, brothers and sisters. My name is Carman Montgomery. I am from Branch 469 out of Mobile, Alabama. Currently, I'm serving as Vice President for my branch and also for the state of Alabama State Association. Right now, I'm kind of in a unique position. I started my military service at a older age. I'm 37, so I started real late because of retirement benefits and then my son's education. Like I said, I'm part of the Air Force. I enlisted April of this year, went to BMT training in July, graduated in September of this year, went to tech school after graduating BMT, and I just graduated from tech school. I will be serving at the 919th Special Operations Wings in Dukefield, Florida, as Administration for Security Forces. Today, we'll be talking about military leave, USERRA, and your contractual rights as a military veteran or enlisted to the military. As far as military leave, letter carriers are often continue to serve the country in the Reserve or the National Guards. As a letter carrier, because I use it myself, I was granted 15 days per fiscal year of paid leave to cover all my absences related to my service. So while I was in BMT, I was also collecting a paycheck from the Postal Service and also the military. And I was happy. I was like living life. I was like, okay, 2 paychecks coming in. So during that time, I collected so much money. I saved it. I didn't have nothing to spend because of my the military leave the Postal Service allow us to have. So like I said, that's 15 days, like 120 hours, I believe. This category leave enables letter carriers to receive pay from the Postal Service while fulfilling certain military obligations rather than depleting their annual leave balances or using leave without pay. But once you use those 15 days, you do have to use your other leave in conjunction. So if you have annual leave, you can use that, or you can do LWOP. In my situation, I ran out of military leave in the beginning of my BMT. So from that day forward, I was in LWOP status. But once October 1st ran around, which is the beginning of the fiscal year, I was granted 120 hours again, and I used that the remainder of my BMT and tech school training. So who is entitled to military leave? You must be in leave status prior to leaving for your military service to get military leave. And it's important to note that while most leave provisions apply to USPS leave year, which begins and ends sometime in January, paid leave must be used during the USPS fiscal year, like I stated before. The USPS fiscal year begins October 1st and ends on September 30th. The rules and regulations pertaining to the crediting and usage of paid leave are found in Section 517 of the Employee and Labor Relations Manual, or the AM. You can read Section 5117 in the NALC Veterans Guide, which is in a link in the description below. So my experience with it, before I left for BMT, I made sure I had all my paperwork situated with the Postal Service, so they know, hey, I was leaving for military, I was leaving for BMT. So they kind of helped me through that process and gave me all my paperwork I needed. So if you consider joining the military, like I did in the military career, please make sure you contact HR and they will help you through that process. So now we're going to talk about USERRA. USERRA is the Uniform Service Employment and Reemployment Rights Act of 1994. USERRA Act of 1994 is a law that was passed in response to the challenges veterans faced during and after the 1991 Gulf War. It protects the job rights of individuals who either voluntarily or involuntarily leave employment positions to undertake military services or certain types of service in the National Disaster Medical System. USERRA prohibits employers from discriminating against past and present members of the uniformed services. The primary source for USERRA is implemented in the handbook L 312, Employment Placement, Section 77. And you can also find it in the NALC Veterans Guide as well. So under USERRA, the length of absences from employee is limited to 5 years. You have some exceptions, which you can read in L 312 as well. So as an employee for the Postal Service and an NALC member, I have contractual rights while on military duty. While I'm on military duty, I have continued occurred uninterrupted seniority. So that means my seniority does not change once I go into military status. Full-time letter carriers on LWOP for military service is also covered by Article 41, Section 1B1 of the National Agreement, which provides in pertinent parts. When an absent employee has so requested in writing, stating a mailing address, a copy of any notice inviting bids from craft employees shall be mailed to the employee by the station head. So that means if you ask for a bid, they have to mail that to you. Okay, they cannot not give it to you. Those are your rights. Employees on LWOP for military service are an exception to the memorandum on telephone and computer bidding. They may submit written bids even if telephone or computer bidding is otherwise required in the installation. Remember, however, that the contractor time limits for the submission of the bids still apply. So you still have to follow those, the time limits for the bids. There's no exception to that. Any bid submitted should be processed and awarded under the provisions Article 41, just as if the employees were actively employed. If a bid is awarded, a personal action must be initiated to place the employee in the newly gained position and pay scale and to ensure that the seniority is created in accordance with Article 41 until the employee resumes active employment upon return from military service. Bid positions held or awarded to the employee on military service are not posted for bid under provisions of Article 41, Section 1A1. Rather, they are temporary vacancies and may be filled under the opposite provisions of Article 41, Section 2B, 35, or the provisions of Article 25 as applicable. So, while on LWOP for military service, employees remain in a bargaining unit. They may file grievances or have grievances filed and possessed on their behalf. So please make note, just because you're out serving the country, you are and you still have the right to file grievances. USERRA also protects employees who resign from military services their reemployment rights and their seniority rights. Again, joining the Air Force was a great experience for me. Again, I was one of the oldest ones there. Before I joined the military, I had a lot of patience and a lot of leadership under my belt. But I'm telling you, once I joined the Air Force and going through BMT, my patience was tested for sure, because I came from doing what I wanted to do to people telling me what to do. And also while I was there, because I was the oldest and I had a lot of life experiences, and I told everybody how I was a part of the Postal Service and I was a part of the great unit of NALC. They saw the leadership qualities in me. And because of that, I tried to lay low while I was at BMT. I did. I was like, okay, I'm just going to be a regular person. I was just like, I'm going to be here for a couple of months. Let me lay low. It didn't happen that way. While I was there, they appointed me as dorm chief. So I had like 40 some girls under me. And so I had to be an MTI kind of, sort of, and give them, constructive criticism and make sure they stayed in line and follow the guidelines and procedures that the Air Force instilled in us. It was tough in the beginning, but as the months went along, it got easier for us, especially me being the oldest one there. Like I said, my patience was tested, but I gained a lot of knowledge, and I think I'm a better leader because of the Air Force and also the NLAC, of course. But it's going to prepare me for whatever the NIC or anything in my life that happens from this day forward. I know is because of what I was taught in the Air Force. So I suggest anyone to get out there and serve your country for whatever reason, if it's just for, growth, retirement, family reasons, just serve your country and serve NLAC as well. Air Force, aim high, fly, fight, win. Happy Veterans Day, everyone.
And now we have Charles Bundy from Branch 11 in Chicago, Illinois. He's going to talk about ID Me, virtual ID, the veterans licenses, state and county benefits, DMV plates and stickers, and the NALC Veterans Group.
Hello to everyone. My name is Charles Bundy. I'm from Branch 11, Chicago. I've served in the United States Navy for 5 years. I was stationed in San Diego, Great Lakes as well, and I did 3 Westpac deployments. While in the Navy, I started out in the deck division, and I stayed in deck for close to a year. Then I changed my MOS to cook. I was a mess specialist, and that's what I did for the duration of my service time. Oh man, what I remember most about the military is just going overseas and seeing the world at such a young age. It was amazing, amazing. It's something that I don't think that I could ever would want to take back. I just encourage everyone who was in the military to kind of remember those thoughts, and just at times of when we come up on Veterans Day, it's always a good time to contact those who we served with, and even those who we've met in the Postal Service that we work with on a daily basis, just to take some time out and just to go on that particular day to Applebee's or somewhere to get you a breakfast or lunch with those who you work with, just to just shoot the breeze and talk about things that we would only understand as being vets. Anybody who's a disabled vet, my heart goes out to you right now. And I just pray that you're in no pain and that everything will be okay. I have some topics today that I've been tasked to share with you guys. The topics range from the ID Me virtual ID, the veterans driving license, to how you can go to the DMV and get your plates and stickers. And I'll end up talking about the NALC's Veterans Group, which is a good group to join. Actually, you can get a patch like this from the NALC's Veterans Group. If you're a member, you just send off, and they'll send you a patch. Serving our country comes with some benefits. Some are provided by the national government. Others are supplied by the states and the cities and our local municipalities. Small business as well as big business in our communities on Veterans Day seek to honor us with discounts, and some honor us year round with discounts. And one of the best ways that we can unlock those discounts are through ID Me or getting a driving license with the veterans logo on it from your state, I should say. ID Me is a website where you can identify yourself as a veteran and receive discounts. It has hundreds and hundreds of discounts for veterans. ID Me is a website you can find on just as easy as picking up your cell phone and putting it in going through your store app or Google Store, and you can pick that up and you can find a way to actually access this app. All 50 states in America, including Washington, D.C., offer veterans designations for our driving license. You go to your state's DMV website and you use the search bar. You can type in veterans driving license, military designation, as well as veterans indicator, and you should be able to follow the prompt in order to register to try to get one. You can also check with your state's Veterans Affairs Office for a direct link to this. Another service that's offered, and you should do it while you're in the website to apply for a state-issued veterans driving license, are the plates and tags that you need for your vehicles. Some states and counties provide tax-exempt benefits. Some states will waive a driving license and registration fees for our vehicles. Some counties provide free mass transit passes or shuttle services for those who don't drive and need to get around. Some states and counties waive discounts on such things as property taxes for veterans and as a way to thank us for our service. To find the state and the county discounts and exemptions for veterans, contact your state's Department of Veterans Affairs or your local veteran service officer, and they should give you a comprehensive list of benefits like the tax exemptions for the free licenses, also for property taxes. Last but not least, our union, the NALC, has a veterans group. The NALC Veterans Group is designed to provide NALC members who are military veterans access to information and tools specifically to veterans' rights and benefits within the United States Postal Service. It seeks to provide all NALC members who are also military veterans, active full-time and part-time letter carriers, as well as retired letter carriers, resources, rights, and information, and it also helps form a sense of camaraderie. The Veterans Group will provide the ability to connect with fellow NALC veterans and stay informed on issues of importance to letter carriers who are veterans. Members received a pin as a symbol of gratitude for our military service and membership of the NALC. If you are interested in joining the NALC's Veteran Group, please click on the link in the description and sign up, or ask your branch for NALC Veterans Group sign-up card that can be mailed to NALC headquarters. I would like to wish each and every veteran, their families, and those who are spouses of vets a happy Veterans Day. May God bless you all, keep you all, and retain you all.
Now we have Shane Davis from branch 1131, Jonesboro, Arkansas. And he's going to talk about on-the-job injuries, the OWCP and the DVA for dual coverage, veterans, and mental health.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shane Davis. I'm from Jonesboro, Arkansas, branch 1131. I've been with the Postal Service about 22 years. Like a lot of you out there, I served in the military. I'm a veteran of the United States Navy. I served from 1998 to 2002 aboard the USS John F. Kennedy. Later in my career, 9/11 happened and we were called up to go to the Gulf. I spent about my last 9 months over there. Got out of the service, like I said, 2002. I came home to Jonesboro, Arkansas, and started working for the post office in 2004. So today we're going to talk about on-the-job injuries, OWCP and DVA dual coverage. Many veterans have service-connected disabilities and still enjoy a long injury-free career as a letter carrier. The physical nature of the letter carrier work, however, may aggravate previous service-connected disabilities. Veterans should understand their rights under the federal law to compensation and other benefits for postal work-related injuries. Now, since there are a lot of legalities involved with this, I am going to be reading from our Veterans Guide. Military veteran letter carriers are eligible for protection under both Department of Veterans Affairs, DVA, and the Federal Employee Compensation Act, FECA, which is administered by the Office of Workers' Compensation Program, we all know as OWCP. Letter carriers with DVA disability ratings may suffer an aggravation of their pre-existing service-connected disability. These employees are eligible for coverage under FECA as long as the aggravation relates to their postal employment. While OWCP still covers such injuries, veterans need to be mindful of both benefits and the limitations of dual coverage by DVA and OWCP. Under FECA, an injured letter carrier whose OWCP claim is accepted is entitled to medical benefits and wage loss compensation. For letter carriers with DVA ratings, applying for OWCP, some benefits may require an election between the DVA benefits and OWCP benefits. So for an example, as a letter carrier who's receiving benefits from the DVA for a 50% disability due to a service-connected back injury, has a work-related injury that causes a disability aggravation of a pre-existing back injury, OWCP determines that that letter carrier has a total loss of wage earning capacity due to back injury. Subsequent to the employee injury, the DVA increases its award to 100% because of the aggravation by the postal employment injury. As an election between benefits is required in this case, the letter carrier may elect the amount of entitlement under FECA for the postal injury plus the amount they were already receiving for the DVA for 50% prior to that injury, or they can choose the total amount of entitlement from the DVA for 100%. If the injury as a letter carrier is for the same body part as a service-related disability, OWCP can provide benefits for injury beyond the original DVA disability rating. An injury unrelated to DVA disability rating is eligible for full coverage under FECA. OWCP regulations require claims to examiners to communicate with the DVA prior to the award of wage loss, compensation to prevent the dual payment of benefits. If it's not done properly, an overpayment of OWCP benefits can result. An injured letter carrier with DVA disability rating needs to be alert to the possibility of overpayment, since the injured employee may need to repay that coverage. OWCP asks injured workers if they ever applied for disability benefits from the DVA on a CA-7. It's a claim for compensation, and a Form CA 1032/EN 1032, which is an affidavit of any work or activating indicating an ability to work, which the injury employee has performed for the past 15 months. Even if the OWCP is aware of the DVA benefits, they may not adjust that compensation. This would result in an overpayment, which can lead to a substantial charge by OWCP and a financial hardship to our injured workers. Veterans who already have a DVA disability rating for an injury should file an OWCP claim if they suffer a work-related injury. Since most veterans with service-connected disabilities continue to get their health care from the DVA, they may continue to use their DVA physician. However, under FECA, a letter carrier who suffers a job-related injury has the option of choosing their attending physician who may refer the employee to a specialist for that injury. OWCP regulations require very specific information to be included in medical narratives supporting injury claims. These requirements make DVA physicians reluctant to process the necessary medical narratives for veterans with work-related injuries. No matter which physician an injured worker chooses, the medical narrative is a key factor in getting the OWCP claim accepted. One benefit of having an accepted claim is the Postal Service must make every effort to find work for the employees injured on the job. It's important for an injured letter carrier to perform their DVA physician that. By having an OWCP claim, the Postal Service has an obligation to find work for them within their limitations. Physicians want their patients to heal and return to work when possible. Informing your physician of the Postal Service's obligation may help you secure the medical narrative that you need. While the regulations for coverage under both FECA and DVA disability have complex rules, any letter carrier with a service-connected disability who suffers an injury in the course of performing their duties should file an OWCP claim to obtain the maximum protection under both agencies. Sometimes private sector organizations or individuals may reach out to an injured employee offering to assist them with their compensation claim. The NALC cautions the employees from using these entities, which typically receive payment for providing advice or services, and they may not have the employee's best interest in mind. By contrast, the NALC has dedicated regional workers' compensation assistants, RWCAs, available to provide expert assistance at no charge to our members. The RWCA should be a primary resource when handling on-the-job injury claim. In addition to the injured employee's own due diligence, injured employees with questions about their claims should first call their branch office for assistance. The branch office, the MBA, and the regional administrative assistants are well versed in many aspects of workers' compensation issues. If necessary, the MBA will contact the RWCA, whose training and experience enables them to address the more complicated aspects of workers' compensation issues. Okay, now we're going to talk about veterans and mental health. Military veterans may experience psychological and emotional burdens. For some combat veterans, these sources of stress can be magnified dramatically. In addition, veterans often have other service-connected issues that most civilians do not experience. For example, veterans commit suicide at a rate that is approximately twice that of the general population. More than 17 veterans and active duty service members die from suicide every day. While unquestionably true that any number of suicide is too high, these statistics highlight the dire need for extra attention to our veterans and their issues, and the fact that veterans should have access to mental health counseling. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, the DVA, recognize this and offer counseling service tailored to veterans' unique needs. In situations requiring immediate access to the support, veterans have access to the Veterans Administration 24/7 Veterans Crisis Line by dialing 988, then press 1. You can also call toll-free 1-800-799-4889. Or you can text 838-255 or an online visit at theveteranscrisisline.net. Unfortunately, many veterans served during a time when there was a stigma associated with mental health. Talking about one's feelings or seeking help was not widely accepted. Thankfully, that culture appears to be shifting. For example, the University of Phoenix study released in November of 2018 found that only 23% of veterans said their leadership openly discussed the importance of addressing mental health concerns during their time in service, while 91% of current active duty service members said their leadership openly discussed it. This is encouraging news in terms of younger veterans seeking help in early stages. It seems the average veteran does not want to be the only one receiving counseling. The study referenced above found 58% of veterans said they would be encouraged to seek professional counseling if a close colleague, friend, or family member spoke about their experience receiving counseling. Despite having access to mental health resources, veterans still find it difficult to take the first step of acknowledging they could benefit from counseling. Even if they don't take that step, for several reasons, many veterans prefer not to go through the DVA. Some reasons might be concerns about confidentiality, especially where classified information is involved, or doubts about whether counseling can help them at all. Because it's so important to have a place to turn for support, veterans who are letter carriers or family members of letter carriers living under the same roof should contact the Employee Assistance Program, otherwise known as EAP. It's negotiated into the national agreement through Article 35. Counseling through EAP is available by telephone at 1-800-EAP, the number 4-YOU, 1-800-327-4968. Or you can call toll-free 877-492-7341 and by visiting the EAP website at usps.ndbh.com/EAP. EAP is free. It's confidential and available in several formats. Counselors are available for in-person sessions, phone sessions, or through the Talkspace online chat platform. Veterans who visit the EAP website can explore a variety of related topics by clicking Veterans Resources under the Veterans and Military tab on the homepage. The tab leads to several subjects of interest to veterans, including videos, articles, and links to other websites. In the 1970s, Article 35 of the National Agreement was titled Program for Alcoholic Rehabilitation and was staffed by postal employees. Many of them were themselves in recovery. Because that program was originally designed to address drug and alcohol dependence, some employees mistakenly believe that EAP participation is limited to just those issues. That could not be further from the truth. It is true that EAP is available for chemically dependent problems, but our national agreement specifies EAP is equally available for family and/or personal problems. Any stress or burden, whether work-related or not, affects the physical or mental well-being of our members, especially our military veterans, is a stress or burden that needs to be borne alone. EAP provides an opportunity to address troubling personal circumstances by working with a trained counselor who's ready to listen and offer guidance. It is also important to remember the right to use EAP are guarded without fear or harassment or reprisal and are strictly confidential. And again, those numbers are for the VA Veterans Crisis Line, 1-800-273-8255. Or you can look at veteranscrisisline.net. The Employee Assistance Program, EAP, 1-800-327-4968. You can also look at usps.ndbh.com/EAP. All right, and I want to close by saying Happy Veterans Day to all my fellow Navy sailors. I wish you all fair winds and following seas. And as always, go Navy, beat Army.
And now we have Christopher Cotto-Sanchez. He's from Branch 869 in San Juan, Puerto Rico. He's going to be talking about the DD-214 form and the VA Health and Benefits app. Take it away, Chris.
My name is Christopher Cotto-Sanchez. I'm from Branch 869, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Well, I was in the Army. I served 8 years as a 92 Mike, mortuary affairs. I've been in Afghanistan from 2017 to 2018. I get retired medical board in 2021. So since then, I'm out of the military. So today we are going to talk about DD-214, right? Certificate of release or discharge from active duty. This is a document issued by the U.S. Department of Defense to service members upon separation or retirement from active duty. It serves as an official proof of military service, and it is a crucial document for accessing benefits such as healthcare, home loans, education, work, and as well for employment and veteran organization membership. The form includes a wide range of information about service members, carriers such as date and place of entry and release from active duty, home address at time of entry and after separation, last duty assignment and rank, decorations, medals, and badge received, separation information including characters of service and separation codes. So, and when you need a DD-214 and you don't have it because sometimes we lost, right, forms or papers or something like that, so you can request a DD-214 for free. Veterans or their next of kin can request the DD-214. Report of separation for free from the National Archive. Veterans Record Services. You can ask it. You can search your DD-214 online using the National Archive EvetRix tool, or you can also request it by mail or fax, submitting a request to the National Archive, or by phone, where you can call to this number, 314-801-0800. I'm gonna repeat it for you. 314-801-0800. The National Personal Records Center is the records of custodian for most discharged and retired member of all branches services. And retired member response times vary depending on the complexity of the request, the ability of the records, and the workload. So veterans can also request their DD-214 when they apply for VA benefits. So when you are applying for compensation, you can request it because they need it. They need the DD-214 and they can bring it to you. Now we're gonna talk for an important app for us, the veterans, right? It is the VA Health and Benefit app. So using the VA Health Benefit apps, you can manage your VA health care benefits and payment from your phone. So you don't need to no more to call to VA to have your information. You can just go to your phone, go to your app, put your username and password, and you got all your information in that app. So with this app, you can access to healthcare tours where you can request refills and track your VA prescriptions. That this is important to us, right? Because you don't need to go to VA to request your medication. You can request your refill by the VA app. You can send and receive secure message from your VA healthcare team. You can review your appointments and add them to your calendar. That's important because the veterans like us, we don't want a no-show in our record because that can affect our compensation. Also, you can have access to your VA vaccination records. On the benefit tool, that is another section in the VA app, you can check your disability rating. You can submit evidence for your claim or appeal. It's more easier for us because we don't need to go to a benefit center or something like that. You can also upload it from the app. So you can review your claim or appeal status. And also you can download common VA benefit letters. In the benefit letters, you can most of the time, they request your benefit certification. So you can go to the VA letters and you can download it like right away. You don't need to go to any center or something like that to request that certification. That some of the time they requested, for example, for the home loans, from work or something like that. So another tool is the payment. The payment tool, you can review payments that you send to VA. You can update your direct deposit information, right? And other tool that you can find in the VA Health Benefits app is the facility locator. You can find any VA facility and service near you. So if you are on the United States, for example, in Boston, you can go to the VA and search if Boston has a VA center. Also, you're gonna find the Veteran Crisis Line to get quick access to the Veteran Crisis Line in case there is a crisis, right? At the final, we are gonna add a link to the app in the description of this podcast. So happy Veterans Day to all who serve. Thank you, Army. Go Army. Mi nombre es Christopher Cotto-Sanchez. Soy del branch 869 San Juan, Puerto Rico. Estuve en el Army por 8 años. Serví como 92 Mike, que es Mortuary Affairs. Estuve en Afganistán desde el 2017 hasta el 2018, representando a la 311 Quartermaster de Puerto Rico. Y en el día de hoy estaré introduciéndole 2 tópicos. Uno es el DD-214 y el segundo es el VA Health Benefits App. La DD-214, la DD-214, es un documento que se nos da a nosotros los que estamos en el en el Departamento de Defensa cuando nos separamos o retiramos del servicio. Esto nos sirve como prueba de que nosotros estuvimos en el servicio militar y es un documento crucial y es un documento importante por el cual, ¿verdad? Todos los militares y los veteranos debemos tener en cuenta, ya que esto nos ayuda a nuestro beneficio de beneficios de salud, nos ayuda a préstamos por veteranos que son demasiado importantes. También nos ayuda para programas de educación, ya sea con nuestros hijos o para nosotros mismos. Y para trabajos de organizaciones veteranas que nosotros podemos conseguir civilmente. ¿Qué incluye esta forma? Esta forma te va a incluir días y lugares en donde tú estuviste y te soltaron. Como por ejemplo, si estuviste en Afganistán desde el 2017 al 2018, eso te va a incluir, esas fechas van a estar incluidas en una 214. Te va a incluir tu home address, ¿verdad? Que es tu dirección de casa, cuándo fue la dirección de cuándo te separaste, de dónde estuviste y te separaste, tu último assignment y tu rango, tus decoraciones, que ya son las medallas que obtuviste, los certificados que obtuviste en ese lugar donde estuviste. También va a incluir información de la separación, incluyendo las características del servicio, qué fue lo que hiciste, qué fue lo que estuviste haciendo durante ese periodo y los códigos de separación. ¿Cómo puedes pedir la DD-214? So, la DD-214, tú o la persona más allegada a ti puede pedirla, ¿verdad? Lo puedes pedir de gratis a la National Archive. So, lo puedes pedir online usando los archivos nacionales con una herramienta que se llama eVetRex. Lo puedes pedir por mail o por fax, sometiéndolo también a los archivos nacionales. Y por último, lo puedes pedir por teléfono llamando al 314-801-0800. Vuelvo y repito, Puedes pedirlo por teléfono llamando al 314-801-0800. El Centro Nacional de Récord Personal, ¿verdad? Guarda obviamente récords de los que han sido discharged, los que han sacado, ya sea medical, ya sea por alguna circunstancia, o los que se hayan retirado de los branches. También nosotros como veteranos, al someter para compensación, ¿verdad? Podemos en ese momento pedir la DD-214 porque al ellos ver que nosotros sometimos para compensación, ellos van a necesitar esa 214 y ellos mismos van a pedirla. So, ellos la van a tener en el récord y ahí nosotros podemos utilizarla. So, ahora les voy a estar hablando de la aplicación VA Health and Benefits. So, usando esta aplicación, gracias a VA, esta aplicación nos ha ayudado bastante porque ya no tenemos que estar yendo a veteranos para nosotros conseguir toda la información que ya tenemos con nosotros en un teléfono o en una computadora. Por ejemplo, los tipos de información que podemos conseguir, ¿verdad? Que podemos ver es que podemos hacer refill, podemos ordenar nuestros medicamentos por la aplicación. Podemos enviar mensajes a nuestros doctores y recibir mensajes de ellos. En caso de que nos sintamos mal, en caso de que tengamos una emergencia y tengamos que comunicarlos con los doctores, pues mira, eso es perfecto. So, también podemos observar todos nuestros appointments, todas nuestras citas, nosotros las podemos observar por VA, ya no tenemos que ir para verificar, mira, ¿cuándo es mi cita? No, ya tú las puedes ver desde la aplicación y las puedes añadir a tu calendario para que te haga un pop-up y y te puedas acordar de ella. Otra cosa que podemos tener acceso son a las vacunas. Algo importante es, ¿verdad? Que si nosotros nos vacunamos en veteranos, pues podemos tener acceso a veteranos. So, otra de las cosas es el disability de nosotros, el rating de nuestro disability. Podemos someter evidencia de nuestro reclamo o de nuestros appeals. Podemos revisar cómo va nuestro claim o cómo va nuestro appeal. Y podemos bajar nuestro VA letters, nuestras cartas. Las cartas de nosotros, ¿verdad? De veteranos son importantes porque en algunas partes nosotros nos exigen, ¿verdad? Por ejemplo, la certificación de nuestro % de veteranos, de nuestra compensación. Si usted tiene un 100%, pues tú necesitas tener una evidencia, perdón. Necesitas tener una evidencia que diga, sí, mira, yo soy 100% veterano, pues usted lo puede hacer en la app de veterano, usted puede bajar esas letters right away, rápido, lo puede hacer. Otra cosa también es que si usted tiene algún pago de algo que no sea Service Connected, usted lo puede hacer por la aplicación de VA. Y otra cosa importante, si usted está de viaje, si usted está en Estados Unidos, si está en Boston, si está en Nueva York, usted puede buscar en su aplicación los VA facilities, las facilidades de VA más cercanas para poder ir en caso de que usted tenga una emergencia de alguna enfermedad que usted tenga, si usted está enfermo o algo, pues usted puede ir a esa facilidad. O al final de este podcast se le va a estar añadiendo el link, ¿verdad? Para que usted tenga acceso a esa VA app y pueda bajarla y pueda utilizarla. Es algo sumamente importante para nosotros los veteranos. Feliz Día del Veterano a todos, en especial a los del Army, y Go Army.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Fight Like Hell. Please subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss an episode. And please share this podcast with your NALC brothers and sisters. You can follow the NALC on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and X. You can find the links in the description below. May your steward be by your side, and may your union have your back. Happy Veterans Day, everyone.